Level 1. The last 100. The wind blew through the empty streets. Noel slowly walked home after another long day. His shoes were worn out. His jacket was old. His stomach growled with hunger. When he finally reached his tiny apartment, he emptied his pockets onto the table. 1, 2, 3. A few crumpled dollar bills. Some loose coins. He counted everything twice. Exactly. $100. That was all he had left. No savings. No wealthy family. No rich friends. No backup plan. Just $100. Most people would have called it the end. But Noel looked at the money differently. He whispered, "This isn't my last $100. It's my first investment." The next morning, he searched for business ideas, coffee carts, phone accessories, cleaning services, online stores. Everyone online promised easy money. But Noel noticed something strange. The people making the biggest promises were selling expensive courses, not successful businesses. He closed his laptop. If it sounds too easy, it probably isn't real. Later that afternoon, while walking through the city, he saw something interesting. A small street vendor had a long line of customers. The products weren't expensive, they weren't luxurious, but people kept buying them. Noel stood there for almost an hour, watching carefully. He wasn't watching the products. He was watching the customers. What they wanted, how they paid, why they came back. For the first time, he understood something powerful. Successful businesses don't chase money. They solve problems. That evening, Noel filled an entire notebook. Instead of writing, "How can I become rich?" he wrote, "What problem can I solve with only $100? Hours passed, then suddenly, he smiled. He had an idea. It wasn't glamorous. It wasn't exciting. Most people would probably laugh at it, but the numbers made sense. If it worked, he could double his money, then double it again, and again. Noel looked at the last $100 on his table. Tomorrow. He would risk every dollar he had. If he failed, he would lose everything. But if he succeeded, his life would never be the same again. As he turned off the light, he whispered to himself, "Every millionaire once had a first dollar. Tomorrow, my journey begins." Level 2, the first small business. The next morning, Noel woke up before sunrise. He looked at the last $100 on his table. There was no turning back. Instead of spending it, he invested every dollar. Not in stocks, not in crypto, not in gambling. He bought simple products that people used every single day. Phone chargers, power banks, charging cables, small phone accessories. Nothing looked exciting. His friends laughed. "You're trying to become rich selling chargers?" Another friend said, "Nobody becomes a millionaire like this." Noel simply smiled. He wasn't chasing attention. He was solving a problem. Every afternoon after work, he carried a small backpack filled with products. He stood near busy train stations, office buildings, coffee shops, anywhere people rushed to work. The first day, no customers. The second day, only one sale. Profit, just $8. Most people would have quit, but Noel celebrated because it wasn't about the money. It was proof that strangers were willing to buy from him. Every evening, he wrote everything down. Which product sold, what customers asked for, which location had the most people. He wasn't guessing anymore. He was collecting data. One rainy afternoon, a businessman stopped him. "My phone is dead. I have an important meeting." Noel handed him a power bank. The man smiled. "You just saved my day." He paid, and even left a tip. That moment changed everything. Noel realized people weren't buying chargers. They were buying convenience. They were buying solutions. The next week, he reinvested every dollar he earned. His backpack became bigger. His product selection improved. Sales slowly increased. Raw $8 profit became $25. Then $60. Then over $100 in a single day. For the first time, he smiled quietly. This is only the beginning. But success always attracts competition. The very next morning, Noel arrived at his usual selling spot. His smile disappeared. 3 new vendors were selling exactly the same products. His biggest advantage had just disappeared. He took a deep breath. If he wanted to keep growing, he would have to do something his competitors couldn't copy. Level 3, the business breakthrough. The next morning, Noel arrived at his usual spot. The 3 new vendors were already there. Each one sold the same chargers, the same power banks, the same cables. Customers were confused. Everyone competed on one thing. Price. One vendor shouted, "Cheapest charger in town." Another lowered his prices even more. By lunchtime, nobody was making much profit. Noel watched quietly. He refused to join the price war. Instead, he asked himself one question: how can I be different? That evening, he walked through the city for hours, watching people, listening to conversations, looking for problems. Then, he noticed something. People didn't just buy phone accessories. They often asked, "Can you install the screen protector? Can you transfer my data? Do you have a fast charger?" Most vendors simply said, "No." But Noel smiled. The next day, he spent part of his earnings on learning a new skill. He practiced installing screen protectors. He learned how to clean charging ports safely. He even offered free phone cleaning with every purchase. Customers loved it. Soon, people weren't looking for the cheapest seller anymore. They were looking for Noel. Lines began forming at his stand. Customers recommended him to friends. Office workers returned every week. One happy customer posted a short video online. "This guy gives the best service in town." Within days, the video spread across social media. More customers arrived. Some even traveled from other neighborhoods. For the first time, Noel couldn't serve everyone alone. He hired a young college student to help. Then another. His tiny street business was becoming a real business. Every dollar of profit went back into the company. Better products, better packaging, better customer service. One evening, Noel counted his money. His business had earned more in 1 month than he used to earn in several months at his old job. He smiled, not because he was rich, but because he had discovered the secret. People don't remember the cheapest business. They remember the business that treats them best, just when everything seemed perfect. A large electronics store opened. Only a few steps away, it had thousands of products. Huge discounts. Bright advertisements. Everyone said the same thing. Noel's business is finished. Noel looked at the massive new store, took a deep breath, and smiled. Because he had one advantage that no giant company could ever copy. Level 4. The secret that beat the big companies. Final level. The giant electronics store opened. Bright lights. Huge discounts. Thousands of products. Everyone believed. Noel's small business was finished. Even his friends said, "You can't beat a company this big." Noel smiled. He wasn't trying to beat them. He was trying to do something. They couldn't. Every customer who visited Noel, he remembered their name. He remembered what phone they used. He remembered what they bought last time. He treated every customer like family. One afternoon, an elderly woman walked into the big electronics store. She waited. 20 minutes. Nobody helped her. She walked out disappointed. Then she stopped at Noel's shop. Noel smiled. "How can I help you today?" Within 5 minutes, her problem was solved. She left smiling. The next day, she brought her entire family. Soon, Customers weren't choosing Noel because he was cheaper. They chose him because they trusted him. Noel realized something powerful. Products can be copied. Prices can be copied. But trust cannot be copied. His reputation spread across the city. Businesses started ordering accessories in bulk. Schools, small companies, repair shops. His tiny street stand became a real store, then a second store, then a third. Years passed. Noel no longer sold products himself. He built a company. He hired managers, opened warehouses, created his own phone accessory brand. His products were now sold. Across the country, one evening, he opened the same notebook where years ago he had written, "What problem can I solve with only $100?" He smiled. That single question had changed his life forever. A reporter asked him, "What was the secret behind your success?" Noel answered without hesitation, "I never chased money. I chased problems. And every problem I solved brought me closer to success." Years later, financial magazines called him one of the youngest self-made business millionaires. Then, his company expanded internationally. The value of his business continued to grow. One day, his total net worth crossed $100 million. Noel looked at the framed $100 bill hanging on his office wall. He never spent that first dream. He turned it into a reminder that greatness doesn't begin with millions. It begins with one decision, one idea, and the courage to start. As Noel stood in front of his company's headquarters, watching hundreds of employees walk through the doors, he smiled because he finally understood. The first $100 never made him rich. The habits he built with that $100 did.